Women don't get divorced because something happened. We get divorced because nothing happens for years. And then one thing happens.
Rosebud Baker. She is one of the most fearless voices in comedy today. She's got a Netflix special out called The Motherhood. She's got a book she just authored called Fully Baked. She's 19 years sober.
Comics are considered like cool, and I think that sucks. I think that's like the death of comedy.
And she really gives us an interesting look into the beautiful and tragic sides of recovery and sobriety.
The hardest thing that you can go through as a couple is having a child together. And the stress of like postpartum and the hormones that I was like, it was the hardest thing I have ever been through. And I've been through some hard shit.
Harder than losing your sister, harder than growing up with an alcoholic mom, harder than having a dad that's like not
Yeah, because
available.
with my sister, there was shock. Postpartum, you're just walking around as raw as you could possibly be. You're supposed to just carry on. Nothing fucking happened. You're supposed to work like you're not a mother, and you're supposed to mother like you don't work.
Buckle up. Rosebud Baker is today's guest on the Zach Clark Show, and I really hope you listen, share, and enjoy. Keep going.
I thought I was bipolar. I hoped I was bipolar. If I'm bipolar, then this is like some sort of like, I'm a brilliant fucking artist. I really wanted to be like a tortured, unique fucking artist. And it was like, I was a fucking alcoholic.
How do you get sober? All right, we are here at the Zach Clark Show with Rosebud Baker, who I feel like I could start in a million different places with you, but I think hello is a good start.
Hello.
She's got a book that just came out. The print version kind of just hit the shelves.
Yeah, did it? I mean, I'm so out of the loop.
Well, we went to Barnes & Noble and got that shit, so it's here,
good.
Fully Baked by Rosebud Baker.
Great.
And I listened to her on a podcast with Bert Kreischer, is that his name?
Bert Kreischer.
Kreischer?
Yeah.
His wife, Leanne. You were
yeah.
on her podcast, and that started with basically like her telling you that you had read the book, and you're like, good, I like to go on podcasts where people have actually read the book. So I have.
You have?
Read some of the book.
Okay,
I'm
great.
not fully through it.
That's great.
I found myself kind of pumped up reading it because we came up in the world at the same time. We're similar in age, and you're like talking about like a Police song in there, and like the music, and like kids today, like are they gonna grow up around cigarette smoke? Like no.
Kids today. Yeah, I know. It's and were you in New York at the time too when you were?
No, I grew up in like a waspy town.
Okay.
In South Jersey.
Okay. All right.
And you love the wasps. You're all
I'm familiar with the wasps.
I did not read your grandfather's 700-page biography.
Neither did I. I didn't finish it. I sort of got to the parts that involved me, and I skimmed through it to be like, what parts involve me directly? Like, what parts involve like my family dynamics?
Yeah.
And I scanned it for that.
So Rosebud, for you, she's a comedian. She is, and by the way, I told one of our staff at Release Recovery, his name is Jace Knutson, and he is like one of these newly sober, wanting to, not newly, he's got like 5 years, but wanting to be on the comedy scene. We have a program in Austin. He's like, no fucking way, I love her, you know. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, he was super pumped.
That's awesome. I love when other comics are. When other comics like what you're doing, to me that's like the biggest compliment.
And you're sober how long now?
I'm sober now 19 years.
How's that feel?
Good. It feels good, but it's life. Life is, I don't feel like picking up a drink, but like I still have to deal with myself. And I'm a difficult person to deal with, I wake up every morning and I go, not this bitch again.
Is that real, or is that just something that we say as alcoholics?
No, that's real, I mean, I start off the day vehemently on my own side. And then as the day progresses, I'm just shown that I'm an asshole in like various ways. Some days I'm pretty good, but I would say like you were talking about overthinking before we like hit record, and it's like it's nonstop. Like I can't stop. I'm just constantly like, and now it's like it sucks because it's a skill I actually need in my life. Like, I need to be thinking about, like, I have a toddler and I have a career to balance, and I'm constantly thinking, how is this going to affect her? How is she going to affect this? How am I going to be affected? Like, it's just the mental gymnastics of like planning my life are required. So it's like using that skill in a productive way is just a...
How old is she? Named her kid Minnow.
Yeah.
I love that. Your daughter's name is Minnow, and you joke that you're 5'3" and she's 3'5". So this baby.
That's not a joke. That's a real thing.
Oh, that's real.
That's real.
That's not a bit.
No, that's not a bit. She's 3'5", and
At
I'm
how old?
5'3", and she's 2 years old.
Is that 1%? Is that one like in the 1%?
It's like the 99th percentile. Yeah.
Or 99.
Like of height. Yeah. She's up there. She's real tall.
That's crazy.
She's a tall girl. She calls me her tiny mommy. Yeah. She goes, "Hi, my tiny mommy." And then I say, "Hi, my tiny baby," just so that, you know.
Yeah.
But she started it. She started that little nickname.
And just for some more context, so you grew up, your grandfather, who I referenced earlier, what's the name of the book? The Man Who Made Washington, or The Man or...
I think it's The Most Powerful Man in Washington,
Yeah,
or
like
something.
I ran shit in Washington. Yeah.
What is it? The Man Who Ran Washington. Right, yeah, there we go.
Thanks,
I don't
Jay.
even remember the title. But yeah, he was Secretary of State under George Bush Sr. Yeah.
Just
Negotiated the end of the Cold War, and yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you one of 5 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lost...
I lost one sister.
Yeah, in a tragedy.
Yeah. She was 7 years old. She died it was a graduation party for my graduating class at a friend's house.
And you're 17, right? You're 10 years her senior.
I was like 16 or 17, yeah.
Okay.
And I think 17 when she died. And
that's what the book says, but...
Yeah, because she was 7, so I was 17. But she passed away. She was playing in a hot tub, and the drain at the bottom of this hot tub like was so powerful that it held her down, and like 3 grown men couldn't pull her out of it. And it's like why all of those signs were out. So, you know, whenever you're at a hot tub, it's like nobody under 16 is allowed. It's because those fucking drains have like disemboweled children. You know, and then these, you know, pool companies just kept like paying off families. And, you know, when my mom, not paying them off, but you know what I'm saying? Like there was nothing that they could do to change the laws so that, you know, when this happened to my family, my mom was in a position where she could fight for legislation and fought to get the Virginia Graham Baker Pool and Spa Safety Act enabled. So, and basically put covers on all of these drains. And now, you know, Trump's in office and he's like removed all of these sort of things. I don't know what's happened with everything. I'm like, I can't even look, you know, just like, I don't even want to know.
But you grew up in a Republican household, right? I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah, very. Yeah. They were very like
different times.
Blue blood Republicans. Yeah. I mean, listen, are they different times? Like, I consider that kind of like giving them an easy out. Like, I look at the stuff that like Reagan was doing and that Bush was doing, and it's a direct line to what Trump is doing. Trump is just the cartoonish end result of like the path that they were already on. And they'll say to themselves, we didn't have anything to do. This is crazy. But It's like, no, if you look at Reagan's campaign, it's all like Trump was copying his campaign. So all of it was, they're connected. They just don't want to be.
Yeah. So I'm like having a moment now because when I was reading it in the book and the lead up to this day, this picnic with Graham, obviously you explain it in detail where you get her ready and she's kind of this kindred spirit who were helping raise really in a lot of ways, right? I mean, you were bringing her along as like the older sister and you put on the little tutu and she kind of had some of these sayings that are you excited about raising Minnow? Because the forward to the book, I mean, like what I'm getting at is like you wrote this beautiful kind of like thank you at the beginning to Graham and Minnow. Graham was your sister that you lost, and Minnow, who is your daughter, for teaching you suffering and love. Can you just maybe we'll start there, suffering and love.
Well, I say that like those are the biggest tools of transformation. It's like suffering and love. Those are the two that like, and when I lost my sister, and when my daughter was born, I was really surprised at how, and maybe this is because I have a history of loss, but how similarly the two experiences, how similar they felt, those two experiences, just in the sense of like, this changes everything, you know? Like it was such a paradigm shift to go from having a complete family to missing a sibling, you know, a young sibling. And it was such a massive paradigm shift to go from living my life without a kid to then being responsible for someone's childhood, you know? So it was a huge, you know, I was just like, oh, it is like death, like life and death. That I never saw them as intertwined as I did in that moment. Like I was like, oh yeah, because when you meet somebody and they've just come from like whatever the other side is of like life, and they're that close to like that, like the veil of whatever, wherever we are, like before we're born, you go, whoa, this is like, it's so fragile. And it's your job to guide this like perfect, fragile, brand new like soul. They're like not even, you're holding them and it's like you're not even really a person. You're a soul in my arms, and I'm supposed to take you through life? Like, fuck, that's terrifying.
Right.
You know? It's as terrifying as facing your own life after losing someone. It's this just, you're like, nothing is ever going to be the same. You know, I just grew up so much in an hour. So that's kind of how it felt.
Well, nothing can prepare you for motherhood. Nothing can prepare you for a moment like you had.
Mm-hmm.
Still hard to talk about it?
It is. It's hard for me to talk about it because it's hard for me to, connect to my own grief. Still, it is. Like, I've done a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But.
The smile says it. Yeah.
I've done my time. You know what I mean? But I also, you know, there's something in my brain and probably in my upbringing that sort of taught me like that stuff is done away from other people. You know, like that you can feel those feelings, but you have to be felt.
Something in your upbringing? I mean, like I saw it all over your upbringing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, keep that. If you're going to cry, just do it over there. You know what I mean? Like, you're fucking it up for the rest of us, you know? And I have that in me. So, you know, but at the same time, I'm sober. I've done a lot of therapy. I've done a lot of like post-traumatic, you know, work on myself. And, you know, you have to, I've really like let a lot of this out, but I've just done it in like a safe space. And I remember my therapist being like, hey, you know, the idea is that you learn how to do that here, and then you're like able to also access it outside of this room. And I was like, what? Like he said this to me. I must have been like 8 years into therapy when he said this. And I was like, that's fucking insane. I was like, get out of here.
Right.
You know? But it's true. You're supposed to be able to access your whole shit. It's they're all of your emotions, and you're a human being. So, but yeah, there is part of me that's just, I don't know. It's hard to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I found one of the hardest things with therapy is like there's a part of me that wants to stay mad. There's a part of me that wants like permission to be angry and permission to blame. And
Well, the thing about anger is like, and this is what I love about it, is like it looks cooler. It looks cooler than being sad, you know?
Well, and I just think, yeah, we're just laying down the sword, you know, like and even if I'm in a disagreement with someone I love, a friend, a relationship, like,
Yeah.
I don't ever want to lay the sword down, you know, but there's parts of therapy and this evolution that I feel like, hey, let's just like let this one go. And that never feels good to me.
No, I hate it. I hate it. I hate letting something go. It is truly like maybe the worst thing about me, and the thing that I struggle with the most is letting go of my false sense of control. And it's important that I say false because it reminds me that I actually don't have any. Because if you ask me, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm the fucking, I'm the puppeteer.
Right. We're starting very serious. How does comedy play in that? Like, how does comedy play into? Because I want to get into your childhood. You know, I wanted to touch on obviously that day with Graham, but I didn't want to make this conversation about that because you've talked about it and you've shared about it and you've done the work. So
Yeah.
you know, where how does when do you decide you want to be a comic?
It's gonna sound weird, but like I kind of didn't, you know, like the same way that you don't really decide to get sober, like it happens to you.
Did you know you were funny at a young age?
People would say I was funny, but I resented it. I didn't like being told that. I didn't like being told I was funny. I wanted to be taken seriously. Like I really did. And I think I just never had a lot of respect for comedians. I was like, this is an embarrassing job. And I still find it to be a pretty embarrassing job.
Why is that?
Well, for like now it's embarrassing because comedians think they're cool, which is even worse. You know, like that's the part that I'm just like, there's like comedians that are like, comedy's blown up in such a way.
Yeah, social media has changed the game.
That now like comics are considered like cool, and I think that sucks. I think that's like the death of comedy.
Well, I saw Shane Gillies like I'm a Philly kid, and he just sold out our football stadium and had all the celebrities coming at him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like
I love Shane. You know
crazy
what I mean?
though,
and he's not somebody that's like he doesn't want to, you know, like he's just a guy, and he's a cool guy, but it's like this kind of, you know, I think he would agree that like there is like a level of like, oh my fucking God, it's like embarrassing, you know?
Yeah. Do you like SNL being a staff? Like, does that? So in the sports world, I don't know if you pay attention to sports, but like ESPN, like if you're on SportsCenter and you're a host on SportsCenter, you want that gig, but notoriously it doesn't pay well. It's more about
Right.
like.
Yeah.
Can you?
It paid well for me.
The staff writing.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I don't know what these comics are making before they go work for SNL, where they're going like it's not a lot of money. I mean, people are saying that.
I mean, it's like a
after-
6-figure, like, you know, like a real job.
I'm like, give me one other job in entertainment.
Can you say what it is or no?
No, I can't say what it is,
fine.
but
I'm
it's
sure
like,
there's contracts.
but you're not making that kind of money on the road before doing SNL and then also taking that job. Like if you're making more money than that, why would you take that job? You know, I think it's a funny thing for people to say like, oh yeah, it just pays shit. And it's like, compared to what? What are you making now? Like,
right.
You know, I mean, the idea is to get to a place where when you leave, you are making an equal amount of money on the road or more than what you were making at SNL, because it's one of the best gigs in entertainment. Like there are no gigs like that anymore. You're not making residuals like that from doing a streaming show, you know? So to me, it was like this godsend.
You're grateful for it.
I'm crazy grateful for it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have my home if it weren't for SNL.
Got it.
Like I wouldn't have.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
That makes me really happy, actually.
My daughter if it weren't for SNL. I couldn't have paid for IVF. I couldn't have, which I didn't end up getting pregnant from IVF. I got pregnant by myself, but like not by myself, but like it was actually God.
Tell me about that one.
Yeah, I was
God
impregnated by God,
Yeah,
and she's the Messiah. No, it's so there's just so much in my life that I wouldn't have if it weren't for that job. So.
That's cool. I have this thing where these big organizations know they're super sexy and know people want to work there. And so the way they get at you is just to pay them like shit. So I'm happy that they.
Yeah. I mean, listen, is it good pay if you're selling out arenas? No.
But
like I was coming from like doing headlining gigs and I wasn't getting, my guarantees weren't that high, And now it's like my guarantees have gotten higher and my ticket sales have gotten higher. And it's like now I'm in a place where I don't like have to be there, But I still am like, that was crazy money to me at the time.
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, you got into this a little bit with it. I keep referencing this podcast with Leanne because I thought it was a really good conversation and you guys covered a lot of ground. And there was an undertone in there of kind of you being the breadwinner, which I appreciated, like, and like the dynamics there. So maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I love when women crush. Like it's, I do. Like it's just like, it's like fuck everyone.
Yeah.
And that's also for me. It's just sobriety. It's that superpower that it's hard to explain.
Right. It is. It's I mean, being sober I feel like I know that I wouldn't have my life. I was not a functional alcoholic. I was not like a high functioning alcoholic. I was a very low functioning alcoholic.
Yeah. Well, your family, I mean, you were dealt a tough hand.
In some ways, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. People have had it way fucking worse.
I get it.
But
I'm not talking about you had a roof over your head, you never wanted friends. I get all that.
Yeah.
And what I've learned working in behavioral health care is that there are plenty of people who have all the money in the world and they can't save anyone in their family because the dynamics are just so screwed up. Mm-hmm. And they stay sick and they stay in it because they can just keep throwing cash at a problem that cash, to some degree can help fix, but not ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to want to get better.
Yeah, I mean, your mom's an alcoholic and
sober now.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
She got sober before you, right?
Yeah. No, she got sober. You're saying before me?
Before you, like before you got sober.
Oh, way before me. Yeah, yeah. My mom's been sober for a long, long time.
Can you talk about that? Because there's this awesome. Was that your first drink when you kind of like took a tug of her OJ and there was vodka in it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really count it as that, but yeah, it was like. The OJ and vodka mix, that was probably, or no, actually there's a picture of me. I was maybe like 8. I'm wearing like a Happy New Year's hat and I'm drinking champagne like on New Year's Eve. So
yeah, that's a pretty tough hand. I mean, that's not normal, I will say, to be
right.
drinking at 8, to be sipping on mom's, screwdriver at 12 and being told like it's, the vitamin C.
Yeah.
You know what she said? Like,
yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, your mom's a killer. Like, just to turn right to her 12-year-old daughter and be like, that's vitamin C. Vodka.
My mom's a badass. And she was like, it's surprising to me.
Is she still with us? She's still around?
Yeah. It's surprising to me that she was able to be such an incredible mom. Like, she really was, like, through everything. She was just like, such an incredible mom, and she was so fun, and I just remember like laughing with her. I never had any memories of her that were like negative, you know what I mean, like besides the ones in the book. And if there's anything I regret about what I wrote, it's that I didn't focus enough on all of the memories that I had with my mother that were like really affirming, that made me feel I remember like crying one night. Like I was crying because I was like really different. I always felt really different, like most alcoholics, you know. And I remember going to bed at night crying, and being like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
As a kid,
Like young kid, maybe first grade. And I was like, something's wrong with me, you know? And she was like, "What? Why are you saying that?" And I was like, something's just wrong with me. Like I'm too sensitive or something. And I remember saying that. And her going like, don't let anybody ever tell you that. Now I work in comedy and it's like, no, I I totally did let people tell me that, because now I work in like it's a group of like such sensitive people and no one can admit it. You know what I mean? Like,
is that what it is in comedy? Because
comics are so fucking sensitive. Like you watch, okay, a comic can be killing. And if there's one person in the audience that's not laughing, they come off stage and that's the only thing that they talk about. They go, that motherfucker in the front row would not uncross his arms, shake his shoulders even a little bit. Like you just focus on that one person that didn't like you.
That's called alcoholism.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's why there's so many comics that are in recovery.
Yeah. I mean, and I think part of why I loved the community of comedy so much was like, this is just like,
I can't believe they're sensitive. I would have, as an outsider who just like, sure, I get to meet some cool people. I get to kick it with you and do these kind of conversations from time to time. But like, I've always been envious of comics because it feels like they have such thick skin. But I guess that's,
well, you learn to dull that because you are like surrounded by some of the funniest people. So like, if somebody's making fun of you and what they're saying is more funny than it is mean, you just learn to have this appreciation for like, well, that's just funny. Like that's just the funniest thing I've ever heard. So you don't take to heart the part of it that's like mean or insensitive. You take what you take from it is the joke. Now, if somebody says to you something that they're trying to be funny, and this happens with the crowd a lot, you know, like after the show, they'll come up and they're trying to be funny, but they don't have the skill to like roast you. So what they're saying, it just comes off mean, and you go like, you know, you're like, I see what you're trying to do, but you don't have to try to do that. You could just be nice. Like,
right.
You don't have to.
Great job.
Yeah, you could just be like, nice job. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're sensitive though.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And so, because you got to read the book because it's really well done. And I think for someone out there that is kind of coming up in this world and came up in this world in the 80s and 90s and to that, like just you painted the perfect picture of kind of the American home back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was dad is not going to shed a tear around anyone. Mom is going to kind of try to hold her shit together and drink her way through it. Can you talk a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah, I mean, so I grew up outside of DC. It's a lot of diplomats' kids and politicians' kids, and you know, lawyers and fucking. It's like a really wealthy suburb.
Nova.
Yeah, my dad would wake up every morning. He'd put on a suit. He'd put on a tie. He'd fucking leave. And then he'd come home, and he was like a celebrity that visited. Like it was like, Dad's home. But he wasn't like that fun. He was just like really serious. And, my mom was really fun. She was like a free spirit, and she was a painter, and, she was, but she was also like a woman at that time. And it was like, she was doing what was expected of women at that time, which was like, you go along to get along. If you're resentful, you don't talk about it. If you're angry, you don't say it. You don't want to be like a resentful, bitter, angry woman. You want to avoid that whole stereotype, But
do you believe that was her, or do you believe in generational trauma? Because you talk about your grandfather, who was this storied man in Washington, and there's a bit in the book about, and I don't want to blow the whole book, but his wife gets breast cancer and he doesn't tell anyone. They don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Like they just shove it down to the point where
they didn't tell each other.
And the kid, well, yeah, and the kids.
Yeah, the kids didn't know about it. I mean, I look at my dad's life.
That's crazy.
And I know, it's insane.
So no wonder your dad is kind of like, and your mom, you know.
Yeah, it's and my mom is like this very sensitive, you know, but with someone who was completely emotionally like unavailable. And I definitely believe in generational trauma because that's been my whole fucking everyone I've ever been with has been like I could have a nursing degree based on the men that I've dated. It's
dud after dud, is it?
No, it's just like they're all unavailable in their own way.
I'm going to ask this question and then we're going to get back to your childhood because so you are, and you've talked about this, going through a separation. We don't need to dive into the whole thing or I don't need the details of it, but it's not working out with your...
Yeah, we're getting divorced.
Yeah, you're getting divorced. And there was an interesting thing for me to hear. So I am of the belief that a lot of guys suck. Mm-hmm. Like I just believe that fundamentally. And I am at this age now at 40 years old 42, where I'm seeing a lot of guys my age like cheat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's so fucking crazy to me because when they cheat, it's really just them being scared of having the honest conversation about whatever's not working.
Right.
So they push it all the way to the end here and literally go out and have an affair because they're so scared of actually just sitting down with their wife or their partner and having a conversation.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. You talked about in a conversation I heard you have where you actually gave your ex credit because he was the one who was willing to say, like, this isn't working.
Well, it was a little bit, it was a little bit of both. So like, you know, we had a tough conversation and there was, you know, a moment in that conversation where, like an ultimatum was brought up where it was like, well, if this matters to you, then we should get separated. And I said, well, then we're going to get separated.
Good for you.
And then, you know, the next day he was like, I didn't mean that, you know, that was just you know, and I said to him, I know that you didn't mean it. Like, I know that. And this wasn't like an effort to call you on your bluff, you know, it was that you gave me an out. And I felt, you know, when you said it, I just felt like relief.
Yeah.
And that was like all I really needed to know. You know, there's like, the thing about it is that women don't get divorced because something happened. We get divorced because nothing happens for years. And then one thing happens and we go, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. You know, it can be like, it was just like a thing it was a little bit of like a moment, kind of similar to like getting sober, where I just like, I got it. I was like, I know what the truth is here. I know what's happening here.
Can you, even maybe selfishly for my own being a guy, like, can you expand on that? Women don't get divorced because...
It's because we'll bring something up. You'll hear a lot of men say, the divorce came out of nowhere. And it's like, it never did. It never comes out of nowhere. We've been talking to you for years about this. And every time we bring it up, it gets shut down or we're made to feel bad about bringing it up. Or just like there is no communication. There's no real communication around that issue. And so I think a lot of times, you know, a conversation will start between couples where the woman will be like, hey, can we talk about this thing?
Yeah, I'm not making this specific to your...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a woman will be like, can we talk about this thing? And the man will react in a way that's like defensive or, you know, shuts it down. Basically, well, I guess I'm the fucking worst. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Where you go, all right, well, there's nowhere for me to go from here because now I have to defend now I feel like I have to defend something that I brought up the problem, but now I'm feeling bad, you know? So yeah, you get to a point where you go, there is no way to solve this because because you don't want to. So like, you're just left with and I think it can happen with men too. I think men can talk to women about it. It can happen both ways. It's not a gender specific thing. But basically, if both partners are not willing to tackle a problem, then there's nothing to be done about it. And by the time we were like in couples therapy, I remember being like, I have one foot out the door. I don't even want to fix it anymore.
Which is honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I don't really feel like there's, in order to really want to fix something, there has to be a level of like love and affection there that's still present. And if then you're nothing's gonna happen. You're both doing it because you feel like you have to.
Right.
And I am, there is something in me that like, and maybe this is why I say like, oh yeah, I feel like I've kind of always been a divorcee. Like I feel like one of my friends was like, honestly, like you kind of always have had like divorcee, like as a vibe. And I was like, no, I agree. Because for me, I can't exist in something that doesn't match the way that I feel. Like if something doesn't feel true anymore, I'm not going to keep trying to be in it. It's like, look at what's true and just make the choice based off of that. It might be the harder choice, but it's easier in the long run.
Did you think the kid would fix it or help or?
No. When I had our daughter, I was like, there wasn't like these, now I'm getting divorced, so it's hard to like, you start to like reevaluate things and you go like, was there anything that I could have seen where I could have changed it, But at the time, we were really in love and we both really wanted a kid. And at least I thought I did. At least I thought we did. And I don't, could I have paid closer attention to how much... I think he was really, from what I remember, I think he was really excited about it. And I think we were both really in love. And we just wanted a child, And then you have a child and it's like, you don't really know the person that you're with. Like, you don't know what kind of parent they're going to be until they're a parent. And you don't know what kind of parent you're going to be until you're a parent. And it's like the hardest thing that you can go through as a couple is having a child together. The stress of that and the stress of like postpartum, not to mention the fact that I was writing a book, working at SNL, touring, and trying to raise a newborn.
And be present for that and actually...
And be present for that and and the hormones that I was like, it was the hardest thing I have ever been through. And I've been through some hard shit. That was the hardest thing I've ever been through. Like,
harder than losing your sister, harder than growing up with an alcoholic mom, harder than having a dad that's like not
because
available.
With my sister there was shock. At least I had shock to prepare to like protect me. Yeah. Like postpartum, you're just walking around like as raw as you could possibly be. Like someone ripped my fucking skin off and I was just walking around like exposed, just like an open wound. And you're supposed to just carry on like nothing fucking happened. You're supposed to work like you're not a mother, and you're supposed to mother like you don't work. And the pressure and all of that I was unaware of before just came rushing in at like such an alarming rate. And there's no way for him to have understood what I was going through. And there was no way for me to have understood what he was going through. And there was just this chasm that developed, you know? And it's sad. Like, when I was reading the book and I was remembering, like, what it was like when we fell in love, it made me really fucking sad because it was great. I mean,
they say breakup is worse than death because the person's still there. And I'm not saying that to be dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
Those memories come back and it's like, holy shit. Like, it was... and then, you know, people find... I think that's why people get in these cycles, these love cycles of like, can we make it work? Can we make it work?
Yeah.
Can we get back to that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where the toxic kind of shit starts to happen because, like, you could probably make it work for a week or a month or whatever it is and it feels good. And then, like, the one little thing that's been, like, at the Achilles heel of whatever this relationship is comes back and the reaction is, like, just bigger and bigger each time.
Yeah. I mean, I think once we said how unhappy we were, it, like, opened up this massive wound for both of us. And there was just so much resentment underneath, like, for both of us that, like, it's really hard.
When you're probably also using your tools, and this is probably true, like the tools of sobriety, the tools of therapy, the tools of the work that you've done, and that doesn't make it any easier because you don't want to come at it from like a, you know, I'm better than you, but you are also doing the work.
I mean, I can't say honestly that, like, during my separation and divorce that I was, like, doing any kind of work on myself. You know, I was, like, in a state of, like, clinical burnout, like, from the last 4 years. And I could say that, like, I have just now started to come out of that.
That makes me happy.
Yeah. Like,
did you think about not being here? Like, was there like dark thoughts at times, or?
No, because of my daughter.
Right.
I never was like, no, I don't want to be here anymore. But I remember being in moments of, like, pure joy, and not being able to access joy. Like looking at, you know, I talk about it in my book, like walking around in London, like knocking on trees to see which tree Winnie the Pooh lived in, right? And that being, like, this beautiful memory, and being in it and not feeling anything, and being like, this is really bad. Like, the fact that I'm not feeling anything right now is, like, awful, you know? And you just get these, like, I'm so grateful for those glimpses of, like, real honesty with myself, because those have, like, even though they've really shaken up my life at multiple times, they're like wake-up calls, you know? And so I never like hear that and go, like, don't listen to that. It's always like, ever since getting sober, it's like, if you get a moment like that, that's a gift. If you get a moment like that where you hear your own voice going, like, this is a problem, this has got to change, and nobody's going to do it except for you, then you gotta follow that. You know, it's like, you're responsible. That goes back
to my point. One, first of all, you're not alone. Like, in the accessing joy thing, 2 years ago, I had to go do, like, a brush up 5.5 day down at this program in Tennessee called Onsite, because the way I explained it to the people around me is, like, that feeling that I had as a kid on Christmas morning. Mm-hmm. Like, I hadn't even felt like 10% of that.
Yeah.
In so long, and there's all this incredible shit happening around me, right? And, like,
yeah. I remember crying on my kitchen floor about the pressure that I felt, like, about, you know, I was like, I'm gonna end up in a hospital. Like, I feel like my body is gonna break in half. And I remember my husband telling me, but your dreams are coming true, you know? And at the time, I felt that was like, oh yeah, no, you're right. This is like, this will be fine. You know, this is good. All of this is good stuff that's happening. But it didn't make that feeling go away. You know, I was like, I need help. And mentally, I really needed help. And then I finally, like, I remember calling a psychiatrist about 9 months postpartum and being like, I don't know if this is just my life or if this is postpartum depression. I can't tell, but I feel nothing. And I am exhausted all the time. And I don't feel joy doing the things that I used to do. I show up at my job. I don't feel joy. I go on tour. I don't feel joy. I get on stage. I could be killing. I don't feel it at all. And then she was like, okay, well, why don't you just call me in 3 months? If this is still happening in 3 to 6 months, just call me. And then I called her, and like, it was about a month after that I started kind of waking up to like what the reality of my life was and what I needed to change, you know, which is like I needed to consciously make a decision to stop doing things I didn't want to do and start doing things that only do the things that like made me feel energized, that made me feel good.
How does money work into that? Like doing things you don't want to do, but there's a paycheck behind it. Learning to say no, like
yeah,
no.
you don't say no. I mean, you don't say yes to that.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time. Like every comic should have a check offered to them that they say no to at some point in their career. Every comic should have like a moment where they're like, here you go, you can host a game show. All right? You could have this much money, but you're hosting a game show. And like if you're fucking psyched to host a game show, great, take that money. But if you're like, you know, if the idea of hosting a game show begins this debate in your head of like, I don't know, what if it's like, you don't want to do that. Like, that's your brain going, I don't want to do this. So like, say no to the money.
Yeah, it's a valuable lesson.
Like,
especially for a guy like me, because I live in this world where, and I don't know how much you know about me, but I run this company, Release Recovery, and we have 150 some odd employees, and we're helping a lot of people get sober, and we have this beautiful nonprofit where we like help the underserved population go get treatment and all this beautiful shit. And then I have this other life where I went on this reality television show, The Bachelor, and like these brands will come and I'm like, oh, that's kind of like decent money.
yeah.
But then like the thing right here will go, and I've done the thing where like, I'm just going to take the check. But that's also not fair to the brand. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not fair to who, like the game show people. Like,
Right.
No, fuck that. Like, you're like, and that's what sobriety's taught me.
Yeah.
If I'm going to take money just to take money, I'm not going to represent whatever I'm going to do well, then it's a no. It's just got to be a no.
No, yeah. It's like, it's the not telling your girlfriend that's something that you don't feel connected to them. So you find somebody else to fuck. It's like, it's the same thing. It just, you are not saving anyone. You are actually making things worse for yourself and the other person.
But the thread we're on, I feel like, is very interesting. And I hope two things for you, Rosebud. I hope, one, you can acknowledge that you just wrote a book and you spent a lot of time in this interview telling me about how you were programmed to say nothing about pretty much anything and not have emotions your entire life. And here you are, like, putting it all out there. Like, you should be proud of that.
I am, yeah. No, I am.
What's your mission with, like, are you trying to break the family cycle of?
I just want to live a cool life.
Well, you do.
You know, I just want to enjoy my life. Like, I don't have this like larger goal to like, I mean, it feels good to not be bound to some belief that I actually don't have, that somebody tried to give to me.
Has your family pushed back on you being so vocal about any of this or writing the book?
They know they can't say shit that I'm not going to listen. Like, I respect where they're coming from, you know? When I was writing this book, I did keep in mind that, like, they didn't ask to be part of, like, public conversation, you know? And so when you bring up my mom or you bring up my dad, like, I try to answer those questions honestly without really saying too much about them because they didn't ask to be. But also, I have to tell an honest story. So there's parts of this book that, like, if I was a parent reading it and my kid was writing it, yeah, it'd be hard. It would be hard to read.
Well, look.
But I also go, I would be proud of my kid for like being honest and not being afraid to say what it is.
I'm smiling because you put this Instagram post up, and maybe we'll pull it up or show people. But it was basically like, you're like, I've had some people reach out to me about this book and some things I've said. And then like you swiped, it was like, gotcha. Like I'm headlining this show on September 18th here in New York City, which we'll get everyone the information on.
Yeah.
But I was laughing because like the people that want to read your book and like actually believe that that's not their story too are the fucking problem. Because, and like, even for your mom and dad, like at some point, as human beings, we have to acknowledge that we're not perfect. And like, we're just doing the best we can.
Yeah.
And so if my daughter wants to write about me or someone wants to say something about me, like, by the way, sometimes some of that shit might be true and I could maybe learn something from it.
Yeah. I mean, but it's also like, it's just like these basic boundaries of like respecting the fact that they didn't choose to write a book.
I get
what I mean? So I go, all right, I'm going to be as honest with my story as possible. And also I'm going to make sure that I write about these things without judgment of like, this is, you know, they were this way. And how bad that's so bad. You know, like I try to explain that like my father was this way because of these things that happened to him. My mother was this way because of these things. And like to write about them with some compassion. And I felt like I was in a position to do that having just become a parent myself.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, all right, well, this is like, think about what you would be willing to read about yourself if your kid wrote a book. You know?
That's a good one. I'm thinking about, so I don't know, have you seen The Bachelor or The Bachelorette? Like, yeah. So you know that they bring the families, like I was there later in the game, so they brought my family in.
Right.
And the whole thing is like, I think most families are super pumped. Like, this is fucking cool. I get to go to a Hollywood set and like be on TV and be on this show and all my, you know, like everyone wants their 2 seconds of whatever. And so I'm not really thinking about that piece of it. Like I'm just throwing my family into this very public eye. And my brother was kind of like, in a 30-minute conversation with the girl, they chose the 3 minutes or 2 minutes where he's like grilling her. Mm-hmm. And coming out of that episode, everyone's like, oh, he's giving state trooper vibes. And like, he kind of got like a little bit crushed. My brother's a sweetheart, you know? And he's just like, what was that? I was like, welcome to showbiz, dude.
Yeah.
Like, they can make you whoever they want to make you.
Absolutely. Like reality TV is, that is like a different beast. That's a different world.
I'm on the, I think it's kind of what we're saying is like, I think in order to do something that like that, you know what you're signing up for.
Yeah, you have to.
Just like it being a comic. Like you know what you're like, there's going to be some people that come after the show and say some inappropriate shit that it's actually probably mean. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to kind of like get past that.
Yeah, you're going to have to be like, yeah, I guess so. You know, I mean, it's the same thing with divorce. You go like, he's going to have his narrative of what happened. And like, I can't judge the healing that's going on in my life based on what he thinks happened. I can't base how well I'm doing in my life based on what's happening in his anymore. We are no longer together, you know? And it's like tearing yourself apart from that, from like what other people's opinions are of you and just focusing on like what you think. It's hard. Like I'll be up late at night being like just going, and then I'll like literally turn and scream into my pillow and then just fall asleep. And it's like psychotic, you know? Like, but you need to do it. You got to get it out of your body. Because otherwise you wake up the next morning.
You're saying things that people don't, you're saying things that people do but don't say.
Yeah.
Like that's none of this is, for me, it's like surprising and I think relationships are funny because whenever there's like a breakup, right? Like which side do the friends take? Which side do this? And it's like, everyone's just going to kind of continue thinking about themselves and it's going to fall where it falls.
Exactly.
I'm not here to, I'm sure he's a fine guy. Like, and, you know, like, and it's just two good people don't always make a good relationship. And like, whatever the reason was, like, it's just not working.
Yeah. We just were not good
That's it.
partners for each other. Like we just grew into different people.
we got down a rabbit hole there, and I appreciate your vulnerability. The sobriety piece, couple questions there. You grow, like, when do you lose your sister Graham at 17, you get sober at 22. Like, what is the Cliff Notes version of what that 5 years looked like? Like, let's.
Yeah. So I was,
drinking.
I was drinking, it basically all culminated into, after like a short period of trying to control my drinking because of like what I knew about alcoholism. I essentially was like suffering with like an eating disorder, and then the drinking sort of added to that because it made me feel normal, and I was like starved. So I was just like, I'm so hungry that I feel like I'm like, my body's running on like fake adrenaline, and then I would drink to feel normal. And then that sort of culminated ultimately in like my family being concerned enough that they were like, all right, so you're going to go on this trip after graduation with your sister. She's going to be there. You'll be safe. I was on this trip, and I lost it. Like, my sister was like, I can't even be around you. She was like, I'm out. And I was like, all right, well, I'm staying because I'm going to be fine. And it was that, like, I didn't even know what I wanted to do there. This was not my trip. She had planned the whole thing. I didn't know where I was going to go. I just was out in Europe, until I was like running out of money. And then I called, and they were like, we're not sending you money. And I was like, fine, I'll book a trip back to New York, or I'll book a trip back to DC, and I'll go to rehab. And they were like, all right. I was like, just send me enough money that I can like book the trip. And they were like, okay. So they send me this money. I book a flight that goes from fucking Europe to, and I don't know where I was in Europe. I don't know where I left from, but it stopped in New York, and then it went to DC. And I had all my stuff in my backpack because I was like backpacking through Europe, which is like what you did after college, right? So I stopped down at JFK, and I got in a cab, and I went to this guy's house who I'd been dating, and I was like, hey, I'm moving in. Congrats. Congrats to you. Like, I'm moving into your house. And my parents were fucking infuriated. And he, like, this poor man, he just like tried as hard as he could to like take care of someone who was genuinely like an alcoholic, who was like an untreated alcoholic, and truly a tornado through his life. Like, the way that I affected his life, I still feel an incredible amount of guilt.
You know where he's at today? Do you like?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to him to talk about this book.
Yeah,
like, I was like, I need some things filled in.
I didn't get to that part yet, but.
And he filled me in, but like, he filled me in with like versions of it that like I remembered slightly, but like there was a lot that I'm, in that one chapter where it's like I'm living in Greenpoint, and I just moved to New York, and I was drinking, and I was like telling my family that I was like going to group therapy, and I was, but it wasn't for, I was in a group therapy for like an eating disorder, and I wasn't telling them that I was drinking every night, and I was like blackout drinking every night. And that was where things started to get like really tough to like piece together. So I do the best that I can, but like there's like things in there where I'm like, I think this was true, like it's, when you try to tell your own story, and you're like,
I mean, there's years of
yeah, you just like that fill in the fucking blank.
Not there. It's not there. And like I like, I'll be like, I'm autistic, or I don't believe, like I don't remember, like I don't pay, but I think it was, I was so fucked up.
I was so fucked. I thought I was bipolar.
Yep.
I hoped I was bipolar. I remember being like, if I'm bipolar, then this is like some sort of like, I'm a brilliant fucking artist.
Yeah.
And that's like that's what this is. I'm just fucking too brilliant for like for anybody to understand. I really wanted to be like a tortured, unique fucking artist. And it was like, I was a fucking alcoholic, and that's what I was.
But there's that's like the hardest alcoholic to get through to. How do you get sober?
I literally just had this
AA.
day where I remember
No rehab.
I had broken up with this guy, in the most brutal way. Like, yeah, he was truly like my fucking nurse. And then one day he brings up that he wants me to quit. And I left the house and got a new apartment and then came back and was like, I'm moving out. And like the next thing I know, I like enrolled in an acting class at William Esper Studio. And my first acting class, I was like looking for the other alcoholic. I was like, who wants to fucking go drink after this? And it was like one guy who is sober now. We went out. I don't know where he went. At some point we lost each other in the night. But like I ran into this girl across the street from the cellar and I was like, "Hey, I'm drinking. Come drink with me." And she was like, "No, I'm sober." And I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "Oh, like I'm an alcoholic." And then she offered me her number. And because I knew about AA and I knew about recovery
From your mom.
From my mom, I took her number because I was like, I don't want to look like I'm in denial. So I'm like, yeah, thank you so much. I definitely will call you, And then I like went out for the rest of the night. I don't remember how I got home. I woke up late on my floor. And I called the job that I had been training for like 3 weeks. I had trained for a job at a vegan restaurant, which is like notoriously bad service. Like nobody gives a shit at vegan places. And I was like a hostess at this restaurant with maybe like 6 tables. And I could not remember if the tables counted 1, 2, 3 up this side and 4, 5, 6 down this side, or if it was like 1, 2, 3 and like 4, 5, 6. I had like wet brain. And I could not fucking do this. And they spent 3 weeks training me.
On how to count to 6.
How to count to 6. Yeah. And I was like, I still couldn't get it. I'm like late. And then I called and I was like, I'm so sorry. And they were like, look, this is like not working. Like, sorry, this is not going to work. And I remember hanging up the phone and trying to cry. Like trying to be like, but like I was alone. So I'm like performing for no one. And I remember like catching a glimpse of myself in the mirror and being like, what the fuck are you even doing? Like there was just this moment of like, who are you crying for? You're not getting pulled over, bitch. Like put your like white woman shit away for a second. You know what I mean? Because I knew that I was doing it. This part of me just like woke up. It was like, you're full of shit.
Yep.
And I just knew it. And then I remembered that I'd run into that girl.
No.
And I called that girl.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. I called her the next morning and I was like, hey, I think I'm an alcoholic. And I wanted to like grab the fucking words out of the air, and just like pop them back in because I was like, but she told me she'd meet me at a meeting and I walked around the city. When I tell you, I left my apartment at like 1 or 2 p.m. and I walked around New York, around the West Village until like 7. I just walked till 7.
Till the meeting.
Yeah. And it was like, and like waited outside of this meeting and just, that was it. Like I just had this moment.
She showed up?
She showed up.
That's the thing about recovery. And I'm a nerd for recovery and AA, and part of my anonymity was taken from me many years ago, so I just talk about it, whatever. It's where I've landed with it all. But
yeah,
the way that we show up for each other for nothing.
Yeah.
For absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And she gives you her number, and that's really what recovery is. And she says she's going to be there, and she's there, and you're there with 0 days, and she probably like ushers you into this like, forget the meeting, ushers us into this like new life that you didn't know was available. Not
to mention like, she's a mess. Like for all I know, like I remember her as having all of her shit together, right. But like she could have been a fucking disaster.
It's like when you first go to a meeting, like the guy up there who's like the perfect person, like the speaker.
Yeah.
Like
is that like the president?
The president of AA.
Yeah.
Like, really, they're just as fucked up as anyone else. Like that. It's like that's the great thing about recovery is the blind leading the blind, but it works.
I know, and it gave me my life. I mean, I look at my stand up and I'm like, this is for like sober people, You know, like this is for people that find this shit funny. But the shit that we find funny in meetings is not what the regular,
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I kind of seek to like do that in my stand-up, is just to be like, this is the truth. You know, this is, it's dark, but it's funny to me. You know?
I was at some fundraiser. I'm coming up on 15 years, so this must have been like 14 years where I just moved to New York City, and John Mulaney was like a nobody and comes into this thing and does a bit about he hadn't gotten, I think he's sober now today, but like, he hadn't kind of done the whole rehab and turned his life around thing, and he just like, I think it had periods of sobriety, but was in like whatever it was, he just made it so relatable and so fucking funny, and like gave me actually hope.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what you hope for. You want people to feel a sense of hope.
And that's just not that serious.
No, it's not. That's the other thing. Like, we're not that. I remember somebody being like, "You're not that fucking unique," and that felt like such a relief to me. Like, that didn't feel like an insult. Yeah. You know, when I knew that I was in a good place, because it didn't feel like an insult. Because there was a time where I was like, "I'm so unique," you know. My little problems are so, you know. Yeah. But
it's like they say, like, oh, your problems are, you know, whatever. Your problems are your problems. Like, sure, they are, but like, I just got shot walking down the street is different than like, you know, they cooked my burger. Well done.
Right.
Like, that's gonna be different.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, but I remember hearing that and being like, oh yeah, none of us really are. If there's an experience that I'm having as a human being, someone else has had it. If there's a feeling I'm having, someone else has had it. So like, we walk around with this sense of like, no one's going to understand. And it's like, no, people will. People will understand.
So you'll have 20 years. What's your anniversary?
My anniversary is September. It's either the 19th or the 21st. You're coming up
on 20 years? You're coming up on 20.
It's either the 19th or the 21st. I can't, because my brain was like so fried, I could not do that. I couldn't count backwards to the, like, I had a lot of like problems with counting.
You have permission to just pick
I just do 21st.
Okay.
I just do the 21st.
Yeah, the later date.
Yeah.
Are you, maybe this is like the season of change for you, all this shit that's happened over the last couple of years, entering into this kind of new decade of recovery. I mean, 20 years is no joke. I mean, it's so cool. How are you staying sober today? Are you just hanging on by a thread? I mean, it gets harder, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hanging on. I'm like, I'm trying to.
Do you have community? Like, you have sober women in your life? Meetings?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So I have meetings. I have sober women in my life.
Yeah.
Sober people in my life, just sober friends that I've had for, you know, decades now. And I try to just like, it's the same thing over and over. It's like, it's the same thing that it was in the first week. It's like, you take things one day at a time. You try to be grateful for all the stuff all the things that you have and the people that you have in your life. And I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunities that I've had, that I had a chance to write a book, you know, that I thought I would be 60 when I was writing a book. I thought I'd be like in a cabin in like Woodstock, you know? Yeah. But like,
that's what I tell them. I have to do it. And that's what I tell myself. I'm going to like go rent a thing on the side of the mountain and write it in 30 days. It's just like write an hour a day, dude.
Yeah. Write an hour a day. Right. I remember writing half of this book. Like, if the laptop was like on the corner of a bidet and I was on the toilet. Like I was in Europe, which is cool. Yeah. But I was like on a toilet, reaching across, writing the shit, using a bidet as my desk. So like, it's not glamorous, and most of writing is avoiding writing. So
that's what I think we circulated today. It's like, there's so many things in life that we, even for me, I'll speak about it for myself, that we think are supposed to be a certain way or happen a certain way, and then no one talks about it. So we're just committed to that story. And then I think sober people come in and we're like, we're just gonna kind of blow the lid off that shit. Yeah because like, we have to tell the truth, and it's kind of important for us.
Exactly. I'm trying to tell myself that too, just in my everyday life. Like, as I come up on 20 years, like, I thought that my life was gonna look a certain way, right? Especially even as recently as like 5 years ago. I thought that this was going to look different, and it doesn't look like that.
No.
But like, in a way, it's kind of cool that like life continues to like surprise you, you know?
Yeah, I thought I was destined. Yes, I do know, because I thought I was married at a younger age when I was still active, and I thought I was destined for WASP, like that waspy, suburban, married, 4 kids, house, dog, 2 cars in the driveway, and I'm gonna recreate this life for my children.
Yeah.
And part of what you're doing is blazing this trail so that Minnow and whatever else, if you have more children, like, you're going to recreate something for them and give them the ability to be curious about what their life can actually look like. Because a lot of what I got out of your childhood and my childhood is just like, we are forced a narrative that isn't always good for us or right for us, but we don't have permission to think otherwise.
Right. Yeah.
Which is fucking scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want people to read the book. I feel like I could have talked to you for 7 hours. Because,
Same.
It's just like,
great.
Yeah, very easy. And it got a little serious there, which I appreciate. I
know, it's like you bring on a comic and it's like, wow, Jesus Christ, she's so
yeah,
fucking
but
dark.
you've done the fucking thing with
No,
the other
it's
comic,
such a.
right?
I have to tell you, it's so nice for me to like come on a podcast and just talk. It's like the pressure to like always be on. I fucking hate it. So like, especially at this phase of my life, I'm like, I just want to show up.
Yeah, you've done that interview. And
Yeah.
like, you've made the people laugh. And like, look, I think people that actually appreciate you and actually fans of you will enjoy this part of the story. And then like, hopefully it'll inspire them, to buy the damn book.
Yeah.
What else you got going on, just real quick, in terms of?
So I have an hour special on Netflix. It's called The Motherload, and I'm going to be headlining Gramercy Theater September 18th. Is it September 18th? I think it said it in that post. Yeah, September 18th. Anyway, tickets are available on my website, Rosebud Baker.
Before we go, because this was fucking awesome, I need this story. So the tour is called what?
The tour is called the Paper Bag Princess Tour.
Yeah, so tell me the book. The premise of the book is like, you read it to your...
So the Paper Bag Princess is this girl, and she's a princess, and her name's Elizabeth, and she has a boyfriend named Ronald, and he's a prince. And one day a dragon comes and burns up her castle, burns off all her clothes, and carries off Prince Ronald, right? And the only thing left around is a paper bag, which is, impossible, but we go past that, right? So she puts on this paper bag and she's like, I'm going to go find Ronald. She goes to save Ronald. She gets to the castle. She tricks the dragon into like flying around the world, like showing her all of his tricks, right? Because she's like, I just hear that you're like this amazing dragon. And the dragon's like, actually, I am like pretty fucking great. And she tires the dragon out. He falls asleep. She goes in the castle, and Prince Ronald is like, Elizabeth, you look like shit. You're wearing a paper bag. Go get a nice dress and come back, And she's like, Ronald, you look like a real prince. Your hair's very nice. Your clothes are very nice, but you're a bum. And then it's like, and they didn't get married after all. That's the whole book.
Yeah, I love that.
And I got it for my kid. Shortly after her dad and I separated.
And she calls you a bum.
And now she calls me a bum.
Calls you a bum. But she loves the book.
Mm-hmm.
And you named your tour after it. I love it. The thing I love about you, Rosebud, is obviously you call your memoir here a messy memoir, but there's this whole movement happening right now where a lot of sober people are out there kind of like flaunting their sobriety and making it look really cool. Do you have thoughts on that, or are you?
I'm all for people like being open about their sobriety. I think that's great, ultimately for people. I don't see it. Like, I don't see them like making it look a certain way, but like, I know that there is that. To me, it just never actually looks cool. Like even when it like looks cool, it like doesn't to me. Like, I remember when I got sober, there were like those guys that were in the rooms and they'd be like, yeah, like, and I used to do like impressions of them with like my girlfriends and be like, yo, like, this is my fellow. Like, I fucking cry on this on this dude's shoulder. Like, we're fellows. And it was just like, to me, it was like always kind of like, all right, man, you know, like, and it's good. I'm glad that these people are sober and that there's something about it that feels cool to them. If that's what keeps you sober, fucking, I'm all for it.
Right.
You know? Great. My only concern is like, does that have a lasting impact?
I get nervous with some of these people who are newly sober, making it their entire identity.
Yeah. Cause you run into a wall with that pretty quickly. Yeah. You know?
And I did it. I was that guy. I mean, my first email address, I joke, was zachrecovery21@gmail.com. My sponsor was like, let's just pump the brakes on the
Yeah. It's like, I got a little bit that way too.
Recovery guru thing at 67 days sober.
I got that way too. I mean, and it got me into a lot of trouble. I was a full-time fucking caretaker for some people.
Last question, just my mantras keep going. Why do you keep going?
I keep going because life keeps surprising me. And I want to know what's going to happen next, you know? I think maybe it's like the writer part of my brain, but I'm like,
curiosity.
What? Yeah. What's behind this curtain? You know?
We're in like the 7th chapter. We got to finish the book.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on, Rosebud. We're going to pump it out, promote you, fan of your work, and your story is going to help a lot of people. So
thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.